All right, welcome, Cat Nation, to another episode of Back to Pack. I'm so excited. I'm going to skip the intro. We got Coach Johansen joining us for the first time ever. How you doing, Coach?
Doing great. I wish it wasn't my first time ever, but they finally invited me on. I could get on here.
You know what? We can make it like a monthly occurrence. Is what we
go.
could shoot for. Really get caught
There you go.
Jeez.
Now
There
we're
we go.
I wasn't going to jump right into the season. I'd say we could do a bye-week episode, but I don't want to wait till the end of the year to get you on.
Yeah, no need to wait.
I mean, we were just talking about early morning practices. We'll just get the show in before that, like 4:45-ish, somewhere in there, and no problem, right?
Like I said, my kids don't wake up that early, so
Yeah.
no need an alarm for that one.
Oh, jeez.
I think a lot of viewers would be tuning in at that time. So,
Speaking of that, we have Yote fan and Woodsman in here already.
Oh, yeah. We got to throw that up there. Our most loyal follower there with Yote fan.
Yep.
And we'll get you up there in a sec, Joel. But no, I'm excited. I love doing these live shows and getting an opportunity to sit down with the head coach for USD and giving fans an opportunity. Very casual environment. You're not at calling all coyotes dressed to your nines or anything like that. Get a chance. So I will say this, anybody watching, following along with us, feel free to throw your questions in the chat. All right, but we'll get rolling. Coach, I'm excited to have you on. I know you've been drinking from a fire hose the last few weeks, being named head coach. So first of all, congratulations from all of us at Back to Pack. I know we're all excited to have you, get to keep you on staff. But then spring practice as well and family day coming up. How you guys feeling?
Yeah, I got a lot going on. I mean, it's been awesome, frankly. I mean, you just kind of, I think it's like any of us anywhere in the world, you kind of take a different role with whether it's the same organization or in a different one, and it's just a different job, right? So all the things you're doing are a little bit different than the same routine you would have had for the last 15, 17, 18 years, whatever it's been. And so, yeah, I think, and then you have ideas along the way you would do it if when given the opportunity. And so, yeah, I think all the things we're trying to accomplish right now are a little bit twofold. One, getting some things online that I think we need, and two, 1B, 1A maybe is just getting ourselves responsive from all the things we learned in the season. So winter training was awesome, went great. Guys were really responsive. We got some developmental things, in a direction that we think could help us. And then, yeah, spring football, we just finished literally. We went this afternoon, finished about 2 hours ago. Practice number 6, and we'll scrimmage tomorrow is practice number 7. So hit the halfway point really on Sunday. And then, yeah, we got family day coming up on the 12th. I think we're going to have nearly 200 plus families, awesome. Kids down there rocking and rolling. Saturday, got some fun things planned on that day, which will be a little different than anything we've done. Just, hoping to keep engaging the community and people that love this place, an opportunity to, get down on the dome floor with our guys and just, things that, you never forget as a kid. If you're the kid in that scene and you're hanging out with Aiden Bauman and Gary Bryant, and those guys just in their element on the dome floor. It's pretty cool. So, easy things for us to do that just I think are impactful for our guys in the community. So yeah, a lot happening and more to come, and we're just getting started.
That's fantastic. I'm personally excited because we're going to be doing our own little warm-up practicing as well. We're going to tailgate family day. So
there we go.
We're going to be out front. We'll have the grill going. First of all, 72 degrees and nice out on that Saturday.
Beautiful.
Yeah, I hope it stays that way. We got a big track meet that day too. Big track meet alongside of family day. So campus should be awesome that day.
That's cool.
While we're on that note, Coach, I have to ask, what was the reasoning for kind of going away from the traditional spring game and moving it to this family day format?
Yeah, well, the interesting thing is, our family day on the 12th isn't the end of our spring. So we'll continue until the 18th.
Okay.
with really 2 more scrimmage. We're going to scrimmage on the 13th, and we're going to scrimmage again on the 18th in limited capacity. But right now, just number one, we still have quite a few additions we're going to make to the roster. Instead of and it's by choice, instead of doing some things in the transfer portal or creating a too big of a freshman class, frankly, we left, and then we've always had some room on our roster that we just haven't kept, and so we've got about 16 spots still available. And with what's going to happen with the house settlement and the rosters of everybody who's opting into the settlement going to 105, there's going to be an influx of players that go into the transfer portal that are players we recruited and knew and wanted to get to South Dakota and are great people and fit us and our culture. But when it came down to making a decision, maybe they chased maybe something closer to home, or that they grew up, kind of dreaming and playing of. And, they're going to be cut from rosters, which I think is really kind of a tragic situation in college football. But, we're going to take advantage of that and make sure that we put an influx of talent, and developmental talent. They're not all 1-year guys that are getting in the portal to leave their programs. They're, going to be guys that fit every part of our roster, 3 years, 4 years, walk-on scholarship. Like, there's a lot of those scenarios out there. So with that going on, we're not out there with 100 guys in the spring. We're sitting at 80 something players and 86 guys. And then, through a few injuries and thin in positions, going out and playing a whole game just doesn't fit us. Aiden Bauman's not going to go take 70 snaps in a spring game right now. Right. We don't need him to do that. Right. The other guys are developing like crazy. They're going to get tons of scrimmage opportunities. So it just doesn't fit us right now. I'd love to. And then, and then the second thing was, our spring game, the way it laid out, would have ended up on an Easter weekend. It didn't really give families or our guys, wasn't fair to them to say, let's have a scrimmage on Good Friday or the Saturday before Easter instead of, maybe getting out of town. So we're going to scrimmage Friday morning, of that weekend, and then get our guys home for Easter and let them see their families, and let families come out on family day, and their little brothers and sisters grandkids and stuff will all be out. And then the next day they can watch them scrimmage, as we'll have it closed to kind of family members and stuff.
I don't know. I don't hate the idea of Aiden dressing up as a Easter bunny and throwing eggs around the dome for kids, though.
Might happen. Never know. I'll note that. Send it over to marketing. I'm sure they'd be all over it. That's a fantastic idea. Mm-hmm.
No, I'm excited to see this approach. It's definitely going to be fun seeing those kids out there playing with all the kids on the football team. I wish my kids could make it down, but they got ice skating shows in practice. So
yeah, that's more important. Trust me.
Yeah.
No, I mean, I do think it's not an event that's just for kids either. Like, we're gonna play some 7-on-7 and get some work in. We've got some Pro Bowl like skills challenge with our guys, like competing against each other, and some things that aren't. We'll have some punt return going on with the jugs machine, and but there'll be O-line, D-line competing against each other in punt returns, and one-on-ones, wide receivers, DBs competing for points, and we're going to score it and compete. Okay. There'll be a good hour worth of just competition between 7-on and the drill work that. It's football. We're going to get after it in some capacity. Yep. We're not going to be out there in pads knocking each other around, but we're going to see some skills on display that day, and then welcome the kids down to do their thing, and then sign some autographs afterwards. So I think all in all, it's something that, again, that whole family and a casual fan, anybody that wants to be a part of it, we want them in the building.
For sure.
No, I'm excited. I mean, it's definitely a big change compared to what we've seen in the past, but obviously we're no strangers to big changes, with obviously the recent news of you becoming head coach with Coach Nielsen stepping down. So I kind of want to switch gears towards that and the whole process on there. And really, I just want to start with, can you describe what it was like working with Coach Nielsen?
Yeah, it was awesome. Yeah, I mean, Coach is, he's one of those guys that bottom line you want to work for, because he's going to trust you to do your job. He's going to let you do your job. And I think any of us, in any profession, like, when you're allowed to kind of grow and make, you do it the way you need to kind of end up developing what you need to do to get results. Sometimes there's too many cooks in the kitchen and you're butting heads on, decisions or something like that with people. You don't make progress. And I think he always recognized that, to let, hire your people to do the job and let them do it. And, I think particular as, him being an offensive guy and me being a defensive guy, I think he gave me a lot of trust and leeway to do that. And it's certainly something I'm going to take, from him moving forward. It's just, you don't need to make every decision, get involved in every single thing. Like let talented people do their thing. And we have talented people here, but working with him, just the patience and things that he would have with the program over the years was great, and we got, definitely allowed you to be really collaborative in everything we did. And it was a pleasure to work for. And to be honest, was the reason that in the first place, even considered it. I knew Coach Nielsen when he was, we didn't know each other like that, but I was at Concordia University in St. Paul in the NSIC at the same time. He was at Minnesota Duluth making those runs, and had a lot of respect for those football teams and the way they went about their business. So, I was always really attracted to being around him and the way he built, programs that had struggled into winners.
Yeah.
Well, I'm going to piggyback, Jake, off of your comments, because I think you make a good point. Is that this is a new year transitioning from Coach Nielsen, but I think it's actually a transition that's pretty unique, especially in the college football world, right? Typically, a new head coach is taking over a program that's probably not doing what an athletic department thinks they should be, right? Quite frankly, they're bringing in somebody new to try to change things up.
Yep.
I would argue that you're probably almost in the opposite position, where kind of coming into a situation where I think expectations are high. Obviously, you're a part of the staff, so you're well aware of that, and a part of those expectations are coming from you as well. But I guess maybe take us through that a little bit, of kind of knowing you're going into a season where expectations are high. I think they should be high, and kind of what that looks like for you as kind of a new head coach to take that on.
Yeah, I think, inevitably you're really blessed and lucky to be in that scenario, right?
For sure.
The alternative is certainly not something I was ever looking for or wanted to be a part of. So, and frankly, that's how I kind of got the opportunity in the first place. It's where defensively we kind of were, right? So, yeah, I mean, nothing's new to me in that world, right? I've been here since 2019. We've set these expectations and we know what we need to accomplish and the potential of the program. And really that's the goal, right? It's how do we realize the potential of the University of South Dakota football program in part of an unbelievable athletic department, right? And, when I got to working through this process and really got to know John Schemmel and a lot more with President Gestring in the process, those expectations weren't just internal. Like, those two people are incredibly impressive, competitive, invested folks like I've never seen in administration anywhere. So when you get to lock arms with folks like that, with the opportunity to do this, it was an absolute no-brainer. And I never wanted to be part of. I don't want to be part of anything that doesn't have the ability to win a national championship. That was the attractive part in the first place. When I looked at around, it was like, this place is a rocket ship ready to take off. And all the things that have happened since are just that. So we're getting closer to really realizing that potential. And as fans and folks and people see it, yeah, then there's expectations, because guess what? Now we see it too. We believe in everything that's there. We've seen it now. So now we can get behind it and believe. And yeah, now you got to live up to them. And that's where you want to be as a competitor in high level athletics and in sports in general. So yeah, I mean, I wouldn't ask for anything else. I wouldn't take a job where it was low expectations just to make something happen. I think that's a little bit cowardly, frankly. Like, let's go win it. And we'll see where the chips fall, but we know we got an opportunity, and we're gonna take that shot. And yeah, so I would never shy away from that one bit, but haven't shied away from the whole time. So nothing new.
Yeah. Well, and you make a good point, because we've talked about this on this show a lot, right? We're true Coyote sicko fans, right? Like we've sat in the dome where we've watched a team win 3 games all year long, right? Like those are tough. Those are tough years to sit through, and they're not fun. So for us to see what I would consider the casual fan really start to perk up in these last 2 years, for sure. It's so exciting, right? The energy in the dome is completely different. The energy, in tailgate's completely different. And obviously that inevitably helps the team, right? But of course the team is the one who lays that foundation. So the fans start to show up, and it's, kind of almost a return for the players and the team now, right? Because now people are showing up. There's a lot of energy, and that obviously helps on game day.
Yeah. And frankly, it has, even since 19, the way this has grown, and the energy in the dome, and the consistency in folks, in all games. And, we need to continue to, I think as we, experience different places and venues and attitudes in the building, sometimes it's like, it's becoming, we're competing as a fan base right now. We're after it. And I think the culminating part for me was, I think in the NDSU game, when we were in the quarterfinal game in 23, we were getting beat up a little bit, and the crowd kind of laid down, and so did our football team, frankly, at that point in time. And this year in the same game, in the same dome, we got pretty responsive when we were starting to, we got up, things were going great for 2 quarters, and a quarter and a half of tough play. And it just felt like it. The dome just perked up, and our guys really fed off that. And we came back, won a football game. So it's, it's not fake. It's real. When our fan base is cooking, there's no cooler place than the dome. And I tell people that all the time. Like when the second game I coached here in 2019, it was in Norman, Oklahoma, 110,000 people in the Sooners, right? And, and I thought, and I'd never been in those environments at that time. And that was kind of the first big time environment I had been in as a football coach. And when we came back into the dome to play, which didn't turn out to be a great game, but we turned out to play Houston Baptist, which was actually a terrible game that day. But that was
the coming out party for Bailey Zappi, right? No one knew it at the time.
That was a great game to put on the schedule with those guys. But in the current state of our defense, trust me. But there were times in the dome where it was like, man, this place is louder than last week at Norman. And it's a tenth, really a tenth of the size. So it's got the opportunity to be special. Obviously, a ton of history in there, and it's a great place, and our fan base is cooking right now.
All right, so 2 things for you, Coach. I just want to mention. So you mentioned the NDSU game, and the cool moment there was when they started the NDSU chant. And they were kind of, I think, making that death march, that final drive, trying to put the nail in the coffin on us. And our crowd, stood up and started the USD chant. And I think that was a huge turning point in a lot of things. It was symbolic in a lot of ways. It's like, hey, we're not going to stand for this anymore. This is our house, and so it was really cool. And then second thing for you. So as fans, our show had a large part in doing the bob out last year. And, that was the Indiana State game. We needed a little more juice, so we kind of pushed that from this show, and we had some help. But I just want to know what your game day attire is going to be, so we can at some point do a Travis out.
I've been very clear; it's not going to be a tie. So
I do that.
I would never disrespect Coach Nielsen with with taking his tie, but I don't know. You guys probably see me looking just like this. Frankly, I don't know. I give about 2 thoughts to that before I go out there. I'm so stressed out. I don't get to play, so I don't know. I don't think it'll have as much traction as the bob out, frankly. So I don't know. We've got an awesome staff full of guys, so somebody will have some cool attire that they wear, and we can make it one of those guys out.
All right. Well, we'll let it simmer for a little bit, and we'll come back to that.
I know. I think if we're gonna focus on anyone, maybe Coach Rosie. That guy's got some swagger out there.
He lets it rip. I've known Coach Rosie for a long time. Coach Rosie was at, when I was first started coaching at Concordia St. Paul, I was barely older than anybody on the team. They gave me a full-time job my first year out of coaching. It's the worst thing that program could ever done, by the way. Me coach fresh out, but Coach Rosie, I was our special teams coordinator pretty quickly for some reason, and we brought him in as a long snapper, and he was really good. Like, shock you how good he was. Never missed a snap in his entire career, and that's how I got to know him. Was then. And so when we had the opportunity to bring him here from Iowa State after he went on and did some things in coaching and then personnel, like he's our GM now. So that'd be a great out.
All right. So, and I want to touch on that real quick because you brought up his new title too, because he just got a promotion along with a lot of guys. This general manager title that you guys are throwing around, and I've seen it on quite a few teams. Can you elaborate just a little bit on what the GM does?
Yeah. So for us, his role is kind of twofold. So he's been a lot of roles since 22, he's got great aptitudes. He understands the university pretty well, pretty quickly. And so there's a lot of things he's got ability to do, but we've kind of honed it in now in his current role. He's really doing our player personnel stuff. So essentially what you would have remembered over the years is maybe like a recruiting coordinator, but on steroids. So he can go out and recruit. He does all the organization behind recruiting, helps with all the roster management, kind of keeps, which in today's day and age is quite a bit, helps work through a lot of that stuff and keeps the player personnel side of things done to high level, all of our NFL liaison work. So everything you saw at Pro Day, all the communication with the scouts, we had 28 of them out, keeping them abreast of all of our players all year, all the visits. He does that and then helps with as really a chief of staff. We get into staff changes and hiring people. He vets a lot of the names and the folks and makes the calls on the front end to make sure there's no red flags or something that we might be concerned about if we got to go outside of the network. And then before we start the interview process, kind of narrow some funnels. So it's really player personnel / chief of staff, creates a general manager, and then I had to, I haven't talked to him yet, but we all saw Andrew Luck became a general manager and fired the head football coach. So
it's a slippery slope.
Yeah. Who knows? Maybe he'll fire me. Who knows? Before we even get started. But yeah, so that's kind of the role. And I think, each place with all the sports staff right now have different roles within some of the titles, but that's how Coach Rosie helps us.
Yeah. And I mean, you mentioned it too, vetting, checking in on new coaches for you guys. You had a heck of a job to do on filling some spots in the off season.
Yeah.
What was that like?
Yeah. Well, shoot, that was, I'm glad who knows? Maybe it's not over. No, we're good. But
Don't scare us like that.
Yeah. I was able to spend 5 good years with Miles Taylor, who was awesome. Got an opportunity to go to the San Diego Chargers or the LA Chargers. Sorry if you have a school like that, but dream of his, coach of the NFL, and got a great opportunity to go do it there. Steve Ferentz got an opportunity with the New York Giants. Losing those guys defensively have been staples with us, and but great opportunities for them. And so so as we turned coaches over, we found great guys to come in alongside of some of the vets on our staff. So defensively, replacing when we Coach Taylor, when he first got here, I coached the safeties and he coached the corners, and then I stepped out of that just because that coordinator role. I just didn't feel like I could do as well of a job. I kind of watered down at both a little bit, and per the people we had. And so we split that room back up and brought Josh Manchagaya back, who obviously, played for us in 22 and, obviously we know that dynamic over the years with him being a South Dakota State guy for a while, but he loves this place. And, we
say you've got a couple of those on staff now.
Him, and he's a yoke. So, so he's awesome. And then Eric Finney will coach our corner. So we split the room back up, and then gave Nate Nelson the entire defensive line. And we're going to support him with a GA hire who I think will be a familiar face here. We'll announce shortly. And then Coach Hodge, obviously, has been 3 years now, doing an excellent job, unbelievable job with our inside backers. Yeah, no more energy than him for sure, right?
Firecracker.
Yeah, he's the man.
Great developer of backers, and continues to be at a high level. And then obviously hired Coach Kirch, who I went to high school with. We go back that far. Coach Davis, when he was here, and Coach Kirch and I, we've known each other since, I don't even know, 2002. So we've all stayed connected, and I've tried to hire, Coach Kirch here a number of times, and some turnover, and just wasn't, he wanted to keep coordinating. That's what he does, and what his skill set is. And so when that opportunity came up, we've been talking ball for our entire lives. So to be able to keep things in the system and be the same, and keep the staff continuity the way it is, and knowing that he would do that for us, come in and keep staff that I believed in, and the way we believe in doing things, and improve it. He's not me, and not at all, we're completely different people. But we love that style of football, that style of defense, and he's got additions that inevitably are going to help us. I think we'll improve, frankly, with me out of the room. I think the guys are able to really collaborate and do this thing, and he's great that way. So I think we made real improvements, and took advantage of the opportunity with staff. And then, offensively, with Coach Davis leaving, the ability to get Coach Morrison in that seat, who's been a huge part of what we've done. Coach Vitzum elevated, huge part of what we've done, and keep the continuity that way. And then when we replace the offensive line position, Pat Markarian's a home run. He's really, really good, sharp, articulate, works well in the staff, really connects with the guys well. And then we got the opportunity when Coach Vitz took the quarterbacks to bring in Isaiah Walker, who's, he's such a pro, unbelievable technician with that receiver room, and exactly what we need to take the next step. And then we still got Dante Warren, who's got the best running back room in the country, and developed it that way. So, we turned over a lot, and those were good opportunities. But the reality is, I'm pretty lucky to have put the guys in those seats and had the ability to do that, and they believed in what we were doing. So, and then alongside of those changes, we added 2 more support staff. So our DFO, Keegan Kemp, who's in here, has made incredible improvements to us systematically. And then maybe the biggest addition was we transitioned our strength and conditioning to be under the umbrella of football. We didn't make a change, we didn't necessarily. Obviously our results are results. We did an excellent job, but the structure of it is really different in FCS versus Power 4. In the Power 4, there's a football coach essentially who's a coordinator of sports performance. That's really what it is. And so, John and Sheila, gave the blessing to let's add it. Let's be the premier developmental program in the country. And we'll have that staff member on a coordinator level in the building every day. So he doesn't see any other sports, doesn't have any other jobs, and do that in every staff meeting, understands our culture, what we're trying to do. They're with our guys more than anybody. Right. So so doing that also allowed, our really the Olympic sports side of things, and the basketball, volleyball, track, all those people don't have us on their workload anymore. So all that attention goes to them. So as a university, as an athletic department, that was such an unbelievable move that separates us from anybody else in the FCS, frankly. And the fact that, John and President Gestring allowed us to take that step just speaks to their support. So long-winded answer about coaching, but a lot has gone on, and
yes,
and so we're set and pretty locked and loaded right now.
I was gonna say, it feels like a lot of continuity, and a lot of change at the same time. So
Yeah.
no, we get it.
So two things, just one comment, Coach, is obviously the program's success has increased these last couple of years, and seeing guys go to the league, both players and now coaches too. I mean, it says a lot about the program and where we're at. And then secondly is, how hard is it going to be to keep your hands out of the defense, or I guess how involved are you going to be, going forward?
No, I'll still be really involved. I'm not going to call it. That's not the plan at all. Like, I trust Coach Kurtz wholeheartily. Want to hire him if I don't. And I think, speaking all the way back to Coach Nielsen, that's what we're doing.
Right.
Allow great people to do their job. But I think the system and the process and the things that we've done that I have had my hands on for so long. Really, my role is going to be, trying to help us in game planning, trying to think of unintended consequences, maybe some of the decisions and changes that we might do week to week, being heavily involved in that process and not necessarily on game day. By the time you get to game day, we all know what we're trying to accomplish and what we're doing and what calls for what. And the responsiveness has to come out of, Coach Kurtz and that staff. So, it's playing defenses and structured defense, such a collaborative effort. It has been my entire time. Like, it has never at one point in time been me doing that. Like, it's the culmination of all the work of all of our people. So I'm just, changing the role a little bit. And I also want to be that for the offensive side, somebody in there that I'm not going to act like I've got all the answers on how we should do the things. That I would be hurting our offense if I told us exactly technically how to do things. Any coach, but what I do know is defense, and what I do look at that other side of the ball, and it can bring some clarity as to what that other team's trying to accomplish, and how we may take advantage of it. And I think that's a factor that I want to be in that room, really being involved with too. So I'm not going to be in that room every single part of every single game planning day. I want to be in the other one too, helping to attack defenses with a defensive mind in the room. So I think it allows the ability to if I don't stuff myself on defense all the time, help our entire team in some capacity.
Well, and then your view on game day changes too, right? Because I think you were up in the box, weren't you?
Yeah. So right after Missouri in 23, first time I'd gone in the box. So just decided to go up there then, and never left. So I'm actually looking forward to it, because your personal experience, excuse my French, but it sucks.
Yeah.
Yep.
Being up in the box is zero. It's like playing a video game. And so I got my shoes off up there with the Coke, and everybody else.
He's up there playing NCAA 25 while the game's going on.
Yeah.
I haven't played that game yet, but
we'll get the FCS added into it.
Once we get the
let's go.
Then I'll buy the game. Let's tell them we're boycotting it, boys. But,
there you go.
Yeah.
I'm looking forward to getting back down there and just being around the guys and in that environment and watching them do the things they love to do. And so, it's going to be fun.
All right. So I do have to ask, when people talk about the Yotes, the 2025 Yotes, it seems like the one so-called weakness that people bring up is the lack of returning starters for the defensive side. How much of that is a positive influence for Coach Kurtz and getting his opportunity to really implement his system then?
Yeah, I mean, it's pretty commonplace these days, right? Like, there's a lot of defensive starters you lost. You think of after 23, we had 6 NFL guys. We lost Brenda Webb and John Jonas and Brock Mogensen and Stephen Hillis and Miles Harden. And it was like the sky is falling. Who's going to play linebacker? And by the end of the season, you don't even think twice about it, right? So I think we're in a position where, we like our roster we're bringing up through the ranks. We like our ability to get good players like Mike Reed online quickly. And if we do have to work through a one-year player, I mean, if you think of the impact that Mike Reed and Carter Hooper and John Bunce and Wade Abrams, as he stepped in a first year and did some things, like how many of those guys impacted our defense, right? So I think we're in a great position now to use, all of our development and watch guys play that maybe haven't. Gary Bryant, you didn't even think about.
Right.
He made us forget about those guys. Like
who is that guy?
I'll say, who else are you hiding on the depth chart right now that we should know about?
Mike East Grace was a 2 going into 24. So, it's just kind of the way it is. We're gonna lose good players, and they're always gonna go, holy smokes, you're losing good players, and that's because they're good players. And at one point, you didn't see them as good players. So,
Yep.
I think more than anything, we've got to make sure we handle our business up front, both in the development and recruiting. So we've got guys that are playing good football right now, and guys that we'll get here in May. I think the bulk of our D line. The finishing of that room will happen here post spring, and then our secondary is a lot of familiar faces and that have been in the program. With the exception, we brought in Dewan Lewis from Lamar, who's having a great spring, alongside of a bunch of returners that we feel really great about. Yeah, I told him he knocked that seatbelt stuff.
That's why I did it.
He's great. He's unbelievable. He's a great kid and true pro as he's got started with us, and he's going to have a big impact on what we're doing. But Timbo White's coming back. There's Shaid Barros is coming back. We got some young guys and Mikey Munn and RJ Stewart are coming back. So there's that depth. It will get back, and it will be. They're just in different rooms. Last year was linebackers. This year it'll be up front, and a little bit in the secondary. So, yeah, we're going to reload and develop and get this back where we expect it to be.
That's great.
I don't know. I think I'm going to be bringing in a seatbelt into the games.
There you go.
I'll feed into it.
Job intercepting footballs and tackling folks.
That's right.
Jake had the best comment the other day. He mentioned, we were talking about him, and he mentioned that we're replacing Dennis Shorter with Dennis Shorter. It's kind of spooky similar there.
That's a tall task. If
it is.
Out of him, we will have won. But in his brain, I know him. He's trying. He's Dewan. He's trying to be better than anybody. So, and we want him to be. And that's kind of where the program's gone. We're all chasing that guy from a year ago or 2 years ago that's playing in the league, and that's a good thing.
Right,
Coach.
Exactly.
You brought this up earlier, and actually, I guess we were just talking about the league again here. But one thing I wanted to ask is that you've talked about in the past is that the University of South Dakota is a place where you can develop and go to the NFL, and that's been proven, right? You mentioned the list of guys who have gone to the NFL, especially in the last handful of years. As that relates now to like a pro day that we just had, I think we saw a record number of scouts attending. Obviously, the scouts are in tune with that when you're talking about top tier FCS programs like we are at this point. But can you give us, I guess, kind of some insight on some of the feedback you were getting from scouts after pro day, and maybe some of the players that were, maybe you heard scouts say their names a lot during that day?
Yeah, I mean, I think we get, you get information from everywhere. You don't want to give it too many legs, but,
Sure.
I think the usual suspects, and to be honest, a few more will end up on teams. I mean, it would shock me if there weren't 6+ guys on teams again, right? Shoot, Carter Bell had an unbelievable day. He looked really good out there offensively. JJ, as expected, had a really, really good day. Travis looked, you don't appreciate Travis Tice unless you're seeing him live. You really don't.
Yeah.
You watch the tape and you're like, that's an impressive player. And you think he's this sawed off small guy, and you're around him, you're like, geez, it's a little different. So, him actually, having all of those people there around him and seeing how sudden he is at the size he is, all of those guys did great. Joey Lombard jumped 30 inches,
That's insane.
So, offensively, I thought all those guys really did a great job. And Dennis was as expected. A few teams that I know love him. Mike Reed looked like $1 million, trained his tail off, put up great numbers.
Man, he looked huge, by the way. The picture that the team posted on Twitter, he looked like
guy.
He got a little bigger there between the end of the season and now. I'm glad you brought him up because he was super underrated. I don't think anybody talked about him enough and just what he meant to the program. I know he wasn't here long, but just awesome talent.
Yeah, he reminds me of when we brought DeJuan Cooper in 21, excuse me. He had such an impact on our defense in a lot of different ways that year, and got an NFL opportunity as a 1-year player. Mike Reed's, he's going to be on a team. There's no question about it. Yeah, so, and then Blake Holden ripped out 33 reps on the bench and had a great day on the field. And so, Mosai Newsome looked really good in all of his field drills. So I'm forgetting somebody. Tevin McKelvey looked incredible in his field work.
Yeah.
I mean, just really proud of that group of people. I mean, the minute they lost at Montana State, felt bad about it for about 24 hours, and then went and chased their dreams even more. And we're gonna be really proud to have called them Yotes and be in their corner the whole way as they chase this thing. But there are gonna be a lot of guys that get a shot, and I feel really confident they're gonna take advantage of it. So
yeah, Mitch, I'm happy for those guys too, because I can remember, like, this is in Division I era of USD football where pro days would have 5 or 6 scouts show up, and that would be it, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like, so I'm really, it's a testament to not only the players but the program, the coaching staff, everybody, of like, wow, now we've got a pro day where 30 different scouts are there, and we've got guys participating. We have a whole list of guys participating as opposed to 2 or 3, right? So that's just really exciting, and I think it's super exciting too for recruits thinking about coming to USD. Like, you've said it before, you can accomplish your NFL dream here. Like, it's not just a one guy 3 years ago did it. No, it's a every year deal. We're sending guys to the league. So I love that. I love that piece of it. I'm glad Pro Day was such a success this year.
Well, I'll tell you what, Grant, in a lot of ways, this is the best way, for guys.
Mm-hmm.
It really is. Like, out of high school, you go in this direction or that direction. If you're a developmental player as an offensive lineman that's 260 pounds and coming to South Dakota and getting to work and putting yourself in that platform at this level in this league, and it's automatic. I did a stat before the season. In between 23 and 24, I think 100% or 22 and 23, and then and we missed one in 21. I think after COVID, it was like 88% of our senior defensive starters got an opportunity in the NFL. You started on defense in South Dakota, you were going to the league and getting your shot. In whatever level, drafted, UDFA, mini camp, you were going to put that logo on and have a chance to go accomplish your dreams. And so, that stat stands until now, and we'll see how many of these guys, but I feel pretty confident Dennis Shorter, Mike Reed, going on the list. So yeah, it is that, you know what I mean? And that's our bread and butter. At the end of the day, we're going to develop pros. That's what we're going to do. And that's not a selfish venture. Like, when you're trying to chase that, you're a great teammate while you're here. You're bleeding for South Dakota. I tell recruits all the time, and you're in high school, you want to be a Division I football player. Everybody knows it, and you're not trying to win a state championship, right? So
right.
that motivate, you need to have that motivation here. You have to, or you're not going to be around many guys that are like-minded, because that team room's full of guys that aspire to do that in a program that's putting every resource around them to do it. And frankly, that's what we need to do here. That's the realization, the potential of the program. And, that combined with, programmatically how we're set up, Coach Rosenthal is our liaison, and how we treat those people and stay connected and make sure that they really know our players, our people. And when you get a player from South Dakota, you're getting a pro. You're not getting somebody that doesn't recognize, that can't learn, that isn't tough and resilient and part of a professional outfit. It's going to be shock and awe when they get to your organization. Like, they know how to operate. That's why the Jack Cochrans and the Mogansons and the Cam Kleins and of the world are now starting to build years and years. Miles Harden's going to be in that league for a long time. So, it's a major piece of what we're doing here, and will always be.
Yeah, no, I for one, and I think I can speak for, definitely everybody here, but probably every Cal fan, we're excited for the future of what USD holds, what you and your staff are going to accomplish. I will say this, we just got one more, we got 2 more questions. We'll save one for the end, but to anybody that's still watching, following along, feel free to throw your questions in the chat. We'll be getting to anybody, the live questions as well. But we're going to switch it up for one last thing because you guys did a little changes this season. And with that, it's on the uniform side of things. Are you a big uniform kind of guy?
Absolutely not. But I get behind it. I get so frustrated when the one thing you're thinking about is maybe the wristband or something. Like, think about the game. So I'm a little old school like that, but I'm not gonna lie. Like, when the guys came out in all black, I went, "That's pretty hard. It's a little different."
Yeah. Uh-huh.
All right, we need to teach Coach look good, play good. Coach needs to learn that saying, look good, play good.
I will.
I'm into the play good part, so whatever it is.
And it has been fun to watch the football account on Twitter do these polls on favorite jerseys. I got a lot of people giving me a hard time for liking the black jerseys, but apparently you guys struck gold because the championship rounds are between two black jerseys set up. So,
well, you can thank President Gestring and John Schemmel for that, because that was never going to happen, and President Gestring said make it happen, and John Schemmel presented it, and she said let's roll, and made it happen. So that has nothing to do with our program or us or coaches.
Yep.
She wanted to see all black, she got all black. So
that's fantastic.
I think we won a few games in them too. So
yes, absolutely.
And I think I saw that deal. It's both some version of black jerseys.
Yep. I do chuckle though, because one of them is actually the helmet that you got in the background with the black jerseys, white pants. Mm-hmm. And I'm wondering if people are voting for that more because of the situation that one was worn in the NDSU game, or if they actually like it. And is it a fond memories, or if it's they like the setup?
Right.
Just keep voting. Stay engaged. We're into whatever you vote for.
How about we got a question here from Joel with the ideas on getting students involved and get more students to game day. And one of the things I want to mention is that night game home opener last year against Northern State, and the blackout, and just seeing, I don't know, it was like close to 2,000 students, I think, and seeing that section packed and everybody in black. I mean, that was a sight to behold, and I know a record was broken there with that. And so I don't know, kind of just, what do you think on that? Any other ideas besides the jerseys? Because I know that was a big thing this year, was the jerseys.
Yeah, I mean, number one, we had an awesome student, group. I mean, they were awesome all year. Mm-hmm. I'm probably going to get over there on campus with our staff and just drag them into the building because they are so impactful. I mean, it's just when students are in there getting after it, like, it's just different. And frankly, in some of these environments, I love our students to get in there and just absolutely harass that other team and make their lives absolutely miserable for 3 hours in any way, shape, or form they possibly can. I'm going to be supportive of however they go about it. So, get in that building and absolutely let it rip and let them know exactly who we are for 60 minutes. And so I don't have any great ideas. We have an awesome marketing team. Obviously, all that stuff is Jaron Duffy and Corey Jenkins and that our administration, like, they're unbelievable that way. And so how they've started to build the game experience, and bottom line, when you're winning big football games in the manner in which we have the last few years, it's just a fun place to be and watch. Like, those are you don't get that watching on TV. I mean, you guys know you're there, right? Like, you don't get to be in environments like you were at the end of the NDSU game, or how we had to battle back through some of those playoff games, and you don't get that watching it on TV. Like, being in the building is just different, and you got to roll. You have a role and a part of our program on that day, and so I don't have any great ideas, but they certainly do, and I've heard some, and it could be awesome this year.
Good. I will say, you're right about being there, though. I don't think there's anybody that can vouch for how awesome Zeke's kick was against NDSU besides Mitch, because I'm pretty sure it almost rolled into your lap, if I'm not mistaken, right, Mitch?
On the NDSU game?
In the NDSU game.
No, we talked about this, man. That's a game I wasn't there for. I was in the Omaha airport listening to John Thayer when that happened.
So great. Here's the thing, Coach.
But that thing was ridiculous because it just went straight sideways down the goal line. So
we have to keep Mitch out of the dome for I guess we only really have one game that we have to worry about, but he can't be at any big games. Just so you're
That's
aware.
right. Yeah, I missed the Vermiracle too. So
Anytime Mitch is there, we got to be on high alert for a big coyote moment. Is what it sounds like.
That's right.
Well, both of
Hey,
those were really stressful moments. So Mitch, get in the building when we're winning by 30.
All right.
That's true. That is true. That is
So-
true.
Hey, we got another question. This came in from Twitter earlier today, but this is from Bay, and she's part of the sound at USD and the band, and she just wanted to know what kind of energy can we expect from a Travis Johansen-led Coyote football team.
Expect the same and more. Our players are you guys, that, like, you're going to take the tone on with the messages a little bit, and I'm certainly a different guy than Coach Nielsen, and the tone I address the team with is a little bit different, but inevitably our locker room is what all of this has been. Right. And our, we just can't mess them up. That's really what coaches are. We got to develop them and get them right and but those guys, that's everything that we're excited about right now, and I'm excited in the stories and all that. That's 100% a byproduct of those human beings, those people. So, what can I do? I'm serving them every day to get their best out there in front of everybody. And when that group does that, it's a special darn thing. And I will not have the amount of composure Coach had.
I was going to ask you that because Bob was pretty stoic. So I'm just curious what your game day demeanor is going to be on the sideline. If we can expect to see anything crazy or.
I don't know what to expect, frankly.
I feel like I don't know you well, but I feel like you have a little bit of a temper and maybe a short fuse. So I'm a little bit worried for some referees on that sideline.
That's what I can't do because we need him in our corner. So I built a lot of equity with those guys early, so we get what we need to get. But we're different people, and that's going to be what it is. But our guys are going to bring it. That's one thing we will be. We will be the most physical team in the country, the most violent team in the country, and that's what this game is and what it requires. And we will be that, and having a lot of fun doing it. Our guys are going to really enjoy themselves and celebrate in an intimidating fashion that lets teams know that team's got it cooking right now. And so we got a long ways to go to get to that point. The reality is everybody's patting them on the back right now, favorite of this. For the reality, we got a lot of production to replace. We got a lot of development that has to happen. This football team is not whole at this point in time. Winning football games takes full year commitments, and it's a brand new football team with a ton of new faces and a ton of new coaches. And so we have a ton of work to do. This isn't just going to happen. And I think we're all aware of that in the building. We don't have any expectations at this point, except for have a great scrimmage on Saturday.
Yep.
All right. One more fun one real quick. You see the guys with the AirPods or the Beats headphones going on game day. She wants to know, what's your favorite hype music? What are you listening to?
Oh, wow. Favorite hype music? See, I can't get hyped. That's the problem. I might faint or pass out. My blood pressure always is just off the charts. So I think as much calming music as I can get into my ear. Just some kitchen country music type of stuff maybe before. I don't have great hype music, Okay. I wish I could answer that.
All right. We can go with country. That's fine. We can work with that.
I will say I would be concerned for Jaron on the other side of those locker room doors if we gave Coach some hype music, though, because he might knock Jaron over, busting out.
Coming out of the doors, yep.
Yeah, we might die. We might have to go.
All right, so we got one last question here. Fun one that we always do with everybody that joins us. You spent quite a bit of time now in Vermilion. What's the go-to restaurant for Coach Johansen?
Well, a funny story. About not that long ago, I sprinted over here from the new first time I'd eaten there, El Nepal, the new Mexican place over there.
Yeah.
Enjoyed it. It was really good. I do like Hartford. I like sliding into Hartford. I actually had a hot beef sandwich over the first time the other day because that's what I like the prime rib. We do that for official visits quite a bit. And you get a cold plate with a wedge salad on it, a baked potato, and a prime rib. Like, it's hard to beat. So, but all these, like, I've never had a bad meal at Brick House. I eat well done pizzas at LLC. I love Alfredo pizza. I love Bunyan's burgers. Like, I mean, I've eaten all. So, I don't know where else I'd be missing, but I loved our pizza when it was here. I heard heard they're trying to bring it back.
Yep.
Over at the brewery, they're making some pizzas over there. Like, my wife and I drag our kids over there and eat some pizza from when they're doing theirs. I mean,
oh yeah,
Silk Road when that's going. Like, I mean, not a bad spot to eat. There's not some place I'm like, that's brutal. Like, it's just, can I get to them all? It's the routine, and I'm going to be craving one or the other when it's here. So yeah, it's not a bad
freshman. That freshman 15 was easy to hit when we lived in Vermillion.
Yes.
That's all we can say about that. And you got Hartford now, which I got the original just down the road from me, but I would have done some damage. I would put up some numbers in college if we had that there.
I bet.
All right, so we're done with our questions. The last part I want to get to with you, Coach, it's really simple. It's what kind of message do you want to deliver to the Coyote fan base about the upcoming season, about the team?
Yeah, I think that, this thing is about everybody, and what Coyote football is so special to so many people. And, I know there's a fan base out there that's not as engaged as we all would want them to be. Like, there's people sitting on their couch, not getting to Vermillion and coming into the building that can really impact us. And we need them. I think more than anything, so excited. The people that come in the building on Saturdays have more juice than any single fan that we come across anywhere in the country when we play. And I know there's more, and that's the thing we want. We want everybody in this town on that day. And when you come into town to play us, I dream of it being just the most miserable place to be in the country for anybody else. And that's what I hope it is. When the bus is rolling through and they're getting off the bus and they're in the building, it's just pain the whole time. And, we have such great people that are so passionate about it, and I don't want them to be afraid of it. We're going to have this building open more than ever. We're going to be connecting with you more than ever. We're going to make sure there's opportunities to intimately be in our program at every turn of the page. We want everybody to take advantage of it because it's a special place. It really, really is. And it's unique. It's one of these places that, the University of South Dakota, it's the university of the state, and there's not that many of them there. And there's not that many of them that are still at this place that are establishing themselves from a football program perspective to be what it's going to be long term. And so to everybody to be a part of, when we look back, I used to tell, Abdul Hajj when he was first here, we had a little apartment over on some little terrible apartment we got. We thought it was awesome. Our families were still back home. We lived here for like 6 months in this really bad apartment. There were mold growing on the ceiling and stuff. Bean bags and a projector, and that's where we ended up. We never cooked a meal, and so. But I remember saying, hey, when you wait and look around at what the geography of Vermillion looks like after we've won the 28th straight game, when that day hits, look at how just physically the town will have changed. Mm-hmm. And I think even in these last few years, you're watching all this stuff change as our athletic department continues to do incredible things. And it takes everybody to accomplish that. And I think, our fan base, it's time. Now is the time to put the reservations and this happened in the past stuff aside and believe in what this could be, because we're watching it happen in all sports at all levels. We're not taking a backseat to anybody in the country. There's not one program, one organization in the country you need to think about taking a backseat to right now. And that takes investment in your end to get in here and go do it. And I think when we do that, that's what we all want to be, proud of what we're accomplishing, proud of the people that are coming out about it and how we're going about it. And our fan base is a premium part of that. And so, that's our message to them is you're welcome. We want you here and we need you here.
Yep.
Get your season tickets, goyotes.com.
That's right.
Right now, everybody.
Yep.
You're thinking about it, get them.
Exactly. All right, perfect. Well, I do want to check Mitch, Grant. Do you guys have any other questions, Coach?
Well, I appreciate you guys. This was awesome. What are we doing this monthly? Just give me the next date and time. And
yeah,
this has been great. We really appreciate what you guys do. I mean, the reality is we're seeing all the comments on Twitter and the recruits, and it's impactful. It really is. The positivity you're bringing to the program right now, it means something. It really, really does. We all notice it in the building every day. We know when we are recruiting somebody, or we know those comments are going to be behind it, pushing them to feeling like they got that support behind them when they come here. And that's unique. And the more of that we can do and what you've done, and all on your own accord. Nobody's paying you to do this. Nobody asked you to do it. No, this just organically happened. It's really impactful to us right now. So I couldn't appreciate you guys even more. And I do appreciate coming on.
Hey, we appreciate you, Coach, all the effort you put into it. I just know we're all excited for 2025 and what you guys are going to bring.
Yeah,
looking forward to it, guys.
Just want to say thank you, Coach, and appreciate everything you've done to this point. Looking forward to the new era.
You bet.
Perfect.
Thanks, guys.
With that being said,
Coach. Appreciate it.
Go Yotes.
Go Yotes.
Go Yotes.